Just letting you know. So a little bit about us. 0 to 5 Montana works to increase access to early education and care while supporting families, uplifting voices, and empowering childcare businesses across the state of Montana. It's our goal at 0 to 5 to stabilize, innovate, and build the early childhood system in Montana. We believe that all families and communities can thrive and we can thrive for children. And so that's our goal and our hope at 0 to 5 Montana. Just like to point out here that we have two different sides to the team. We have this policy side and a program side. The program side is more the Montana Child Care Business Connect side, which is what I work on. And at Montana Child Care Business Connect, we want your business to open. We'd like it to grow. We want to see it sustain and to keep it functioning and going. Even if you're ready to leave the childcare profession, we want you to have a viable business that you could turn around and sell. And then lastly, we believe that every small business in the state of Montana should be profitable, and we would love to see your childcare business thriving. And so at Montana Childcare Business Connect, we work really hard to let those things happen for you guys. And we do one-on-one TA, we do community capacity building, and we offer amazing trainings like this one for you to be able to take your business to the next level. And that's our hope for you. So, yeah. Alrighty, so today is week 2 of this series. Last week we covered mission statements and that part of culture. Today we're going to cover understanding the vision of your culture for your program. And I'm very excited. We're just going to jump right on in today, make sure that we can get everything covered here. So, in our last session, we focused on mission. And we talked about your foundation. Today we're going to build on that, and we're looking at your program's vision. And vision is like where your program is going, and that's our, hope for today. We're going to be very intentional about one thing, that connecting vision, we're going to connect your vision directly to culture. And that's what I'm hoping to do for everyone here today is that you all understand that I'm going to mute everybody. Hold on just a second. Okay, there we go. That we all understand that not just your mission, but your vision has a very big piece and it plays a really big piece in the culture of your organization. And we know that culture is a huge part of retaining not only families, but really in this type of workforce crisis, we're wanting to retain our employees as well. And a positive work culture is one of those key factors for that. So, an intermediate level vision is one that separates your program from one that's constantly struggling to hire and retain to one where people would proactively seek you out and want to work in your organization. So, without a clear vision, most childcare programs operate in this constant reaction mode. I'd like to know, and let's be really honest and vulnerable with each other. This is a chance for us to lift each other up. If you'd all throw in the chat, have you ever had to like fill in a classroom because you just needed a warm body? Yes or no in the chat right now. I got 100% right off the bat, right? Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes we've had this warm body syndrome, and that is a dangerous place to be long term. We've all had to do it. There's just no question that it does exist to some extent. But what we really want to get away from here is hiring to hire. We want to hire that perfect fit for your culture and your organization. So that's what we're working on in today's training. Without clear vision, most childcare programs just operate in that reaction mode, and it becomes this cycle. Hire, you lose them. Hire, onboard, lose. Hire, onboard, lose. And that is just a true fact of entry level positions in general. So sometimes you guys might be beating yourselves up saying, oh, this is all my fault. I want to assure you that it's not necessarily all your fault, but I do want to tell you that there is some things you can do in your business that would make people stay no matter how little they were paid. And so this is the piece that I want you to understand, that pay is a part of this workforce crisis. But if we can create the right culture that makes people want to be with you all day, every day, amazing things can come from you. And so that's what we're hoping to do for you guys throughout this whole series. When you have a clear vision, you kind of begin to shape that culture intentionally. You're going to attract families who align with what you believe in. And you're going to hire staff that are going to want to stay. And you're going to build a program that feels stable. And even more important, it's going to feel purposeful. So today, we're going to define a vision that doesn't just sound good. I don't want just words on a page. This is a culture. This is a real heartfelt something that you believe in, that you're portraying out. Okay. This is going to help with your recruitment and your retention. Let me see what some of these says. I wish, LOL, I'm a solo provider, so your dog helps a lot. I love that stuff. Yeah, sometimes we have to have help from the farm animals, the dogs, whatever it takes, right? As we get started, I just want to walk you guys through what you can expect to walk away with from today's session. So, because it really is about shifting how you think and lead, not just learning a new concept. Really, you guys, we're shifting a thought. And I just encourage everyone on today to be vulnerable enough to be like, yep, I am going to do that. I'm willing to say, yeah, I do it this way, and I need to think about it a little bit different. It is a-okay for you to be doing that. First, we're going to be able to differentiate between mission and vision statements. And that's really important. A lot of people get those confused. But more importantly, we're going to understand how each one plays a unique role in building your program's culture. And then your mission is kind of like, we talked about that last week, but your mission is what grounds you to your day-to-day operations. Okay. It kind of defines how you show up right now, today. Okay. Your vision, on the other hand, defines the future. It defines where you're going. And think of like that telescope that you're telescoping out and what is out there on the horizon for you. Okay. Without mission, your vision is going to lack your program's going to lack consistency. But without vision, your culture is going to completely lack direction. And trust me, if you don't have a defined direction for your program, one bad hire, one loud parent can stir the pot and change everything in the wrong direction. But if you tie those parents and you tie those employees to your beliefs, your values, and what you want for your program, amazing things can happen. Secondly, we're going to analyze how the absence of a clear vision shows up in real challenges. So things like reactive hiring, warm body syndrome, inconsistent expectations that create high staff turnover is a big one that we hear here. This is where we move beyond theory, okay? This is where there's no clear vision, then you don't have good hiring decisions, then you tend to be based on urgency instead of alignment with your beliefs. So if you all could just walk away today believing that you're going to learn how to align your parents and your people with your beliefs, amazing things will be good for you. And then third, we're going to explore the connection between vision and culture and recruitment and retention. So this is a big one. I know it. I hear these words every day, all day. The culture you create is what people experience. And that experience determines whether families enroll, whether your staff accept a job, and whether they stay long term. A clearly defined vision helps you attract people who align with what you're building. We want that alignment. Not every family is for you. Let's have a yes or no waterfall in the comments right now. Have you ever hired a family and had them come in and say, whoops, that wasn't a good fit for my program? Yes or no? Let's just waterfall that in. And I'm guessing that all of you who put yep in the comments also had the most uncomfortable conversation asking those parents to move along because those are not fun conversations. It's just not fun. It's a headache for you. It takes away from your vision. It takes away from everything you're working on in your program. We want to avoid that by having something very clear so that parents know who you are and what you're about, and they know that you're the perfect fit for them. Okay. So, I like that, Bridget. They do usually weed themselves out. Yeah, sometimes I get nervous in programs, though. Sometimes when I hear you guys talking about like a staff member who's not a good fit, it's not a good culture fit, okay? And they can sometimes stir the pot so well that it kind of takes a few of your other staff with them before you've done this. And I will say that 90% of the time when that's happening, it's because the vision wasn't clear. Those good staff are gonna stay when they're tied to it. So I hope you get that out of today. All righty. Yeah, Sammy, and you are not alone in this story. I hear it a lot. So I really hope you get something out of today's training, and even next week's is going to be even better for you. So yeah, yay, I get it. Amy says we've added goodness. Sorry, I'm a goodness of fit note to our family handbook. Either family or staff can end the relationship if it's not a good fit. And I think that that's really important too. We need to have a healthy environment. Everyone's going to be happier for it. Um, but what I'm saying is, if we clearly define these things before we bring family in and before we bring staff in, smooth sailing is much more likely. So that's really important for us to just think about today. Love it. Okay, so your mission, we already said this, it defines how you operate today. It's your approach. It does include your beliefs and your standards. But what your vision does is that it defines where you are going. And this is absolutely critical for culture, you guys, because culture is not static. It does change. It is always moving. And it's a moving target sometimes. We want to be moving towards our hopes, dreams, and things that we want. You did not, I promise, get into childcare so that you could be handling staff challenges. Can we have an amen? We did not do that. We really, really don't want to be doing that. You got in because you love children, because you love families, because you're supporting a community. You're meeting a need that your neighbors and friends need. There are a million reasons why we got into this business. But staff challenges and family challenges, I know no one said, ooh, I really want to do that. Okay. But because it's always moving, we got to make sure that when it starts to move away from our vision, we bring it back on track. If your team doesn't even know where the program is going, they're going to fill in the gaps. And I mean that. They will fill them in. And unfortunately, the true fact is, if you haven't been clear, they're going to clearly define it for you. And it's usually not even remotely in alignment with what you're thinking. But when your vision is clear and your team understands what they're a part of building, that is going to create connection. And connection without question creates commitment. Now, sometimes I'll hear people say, oh, I hired my best friend. Of course, we're connected. Has anyone hired a friend and said that was the worst choice I ever made? That happens sometimes. Sometimes we hire a friend and it's a great choice, but we need to make sure that we are keeping, regardless of relation, our staff and our families thinking about our vision of our organization. Have you ever noticed, like, when someone tells you what they want for their life, you want to help them get there? When a friend tells me, oh my gosh, I want to read more this year, the first thing I'm doing is like recommending 100 books to her, right? But if you're telling your staff what I want here for my program, this is what I see for my program, I guarantee you, if they resonate with it, they're going to want to help you get there as well. But you have to remember how to continually bring them all the way around to the whole picture. Strong culture comes from the combination of both a mission and a vision statement that work together in unison, and you can't have one without the other. So, mission is today, what we are doing, and vision is where we are headed and the future. I'm going to pause and just give you guys an opportunity. If there's any questions, you could come off mute and ask. Otherwise, you could type a question into the chat as well. All righty, well, we'll keep moving as we're going along. If you have more questions, please type them in. So let's connect vision directly to recruitment and retention for a second. Okay, first, vision attracts aligned families and staff. So when people can clearly see what you're building, they're going to self-select in or out of your program. And that's exactly what you want. Not every family is for you, but you want the families that are for you. Okay. So if your mission is Montessori based, okay, and you want to do that, then you know that maybe a kindergarten readiness parent doesn't want that. And you don't want a parent that's constantly going to be saying, how come you haven't taught my kid the ABCs, right? You don't want that if that's not what you're about. And so you want to make sure that you're making that good fit. We see this happen a lot in like a faith-based program. There is definitely a market out there for faith-based programs, but you absolutely want to make sure that if you are that program, that parents understand that's what they're getting when they come to your program. And we can think of our mission and our vision statements in those magnets that are pulling the right families into us. Secondly, it increases retention. So staff are far more likely to stay in your program when they feel like they're a part of something meaningful and growing, when they're not just surviving. Now, I hear it all the time. We got through today. Have you ever said it? All right, well, we got through today, and that's great. I'm happy that y'all get through today. But at the end of the day, getting through one day, leading to the next day, leading to the next day leads to burnout. And burnout is the number one cause of employee loss. It's also the number one cause of closure in programs. So we want to do the things it takes to avoid burnout. And then finally, another thing that it does is that it's going to build your reputation. And that reputation is critical, you guys. Like I said, it can take just a little bit of stirring, a little bit of that pot stirring to change your reputation quickly. So you want to be able to look like you are seen as an intentional professional, that you're trustworthy, um, that what you're doing is going to directly impact your families. And when you have these things, it's going to impact your enrollment and your hiring process in a positive light. This is where vision kind of becomes very real, because without vision, hiring is really reactive. And we absolutely want to be careful of that. So without you start filling positions because you need the bodies in the classroom. That often leads to that misalignment and turnover. And then enrollment becomes about numbers instead of having the right families in your program that will stay long term. Then expectations feel inconsistent because decisions are being made in the moment instead of from a really clear direction. Then all of that leads to turnover, right? And we've all experienced this turnover. When we have vision, though, everything is going to shift. You hire for alignment, not just availability. You enroll families who match your culture, Expectations are very clear and more consistent. And as a result, retention improves because people feel like they belong. They're a part of your program. This is the connection between vision and culture in action. Now, I want to talk about what vision isn't, okay? One of the biggest mistakes in creating your vision, especially when you're writing like a vision statement, is not really understanding that it's about the future. So, vision is focused, you can run into a problem here if you only focus your vision on growth or numbers. So that's not really what you're wanting to do. We want to grow is not what we would call a vision statement. Okay. It doesn't tell your team, it does not tell your families anything about the experience that you are creating within your program. So a culture-focused vision must include people, 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 especially your staff. Did you guys hear that? Especially your staff. If your vision doesn't speak to what it feels like to work in your program, it will not support retention. You want your staff to hear how they fit with you, your leadership in your program, and to know that they're going to be supported. If it's too vague, it's not going to guide behavior or decisions. So when we're really specific that, we're a loving community and things like that, when you hear a teacher being more reprimandative than you would want them to be, it's very easy to say that doesn't fit with our culture here. This is our culture that doesn't fit. Let's talk about that. Okay, different things that you can do in that case. A strong vision is going to include culture at its core. It defines what families experience, how they feel, and how they talk about your program. Okay. It defines what staff experience. It defines support, communication, stability, growth. And it includes business health indicators like enrollment stability, sustainability. Those things matter. Parents want to know that you're as dependable as they need you to be as well. When we have programs that are continually opening and closing, it creates this uneasiness. You really need to help establish that trust for parents to know that you're going to be there for the long run. The combination is what creates a program that people want to join and people want to stay in. So there is a framework that we're going to follow. We'll shift slightly from what does it look like to what are people saying and experiencing, because culture lives in experience. I'm going to say that one more time in case anyone in the back didn't hear. Culture lives in experience. You can use words all day long, you guys. Okay. Have you ever had a boss who said, "This is the type of leader I am. I do not micromanage. I do not do this." And then, whoo, micromanaging and other experiences come in. So, words and actions are very different. And you want to make sure that your staff and your families are experiencing what you say they're going to experience. Okay. What are staff saying? Do they feel supported? Do they stay? Do they grow? This is a tricky field. There's not a huge career ladder, right? You want people who want to stay. How do you help them feel supported and feel like they're improving and growing without a title change, right? Without different things like that. Your mission and vision statement are going to shape those things for you. What does your day-to-day feel like? Are you constantly putting out fires or are you leading with clarity? Is it really clear what your staff is supposed to do each day when they get to work? These answers are going to shape that vision and it directly impacts your culture. So this example is intentionally includes both culture and business outcomes. Families feel supported and trust the program that drives retention and referrals. Staff feel respected and valued when you drive retention and performance. So low turnover is a direct indicator of a strong culture. Consistent Fulfillment reflects a strong reputation. So, this is kind of what we're aiming for when we're looking at a vision that connects experience to outcomes. And at the end of the day, that's what we want is outcomes. Okay. So as you create your vision, I want you to prioritize culture. And I think this is a step that gets missed. You guys get into licensing, you get really excited, you make a mission statement, you make a vision statement, you turn in a parent handbook, and then you never think about it again. I will tell you, you have amazing culture in your program. If you were to ask a staff member what our mission is and what our vision is, and they could say it off the top of their head. And that's just great business practice. So, what do you want families to experience and say? What do you want your staff to feel on that daily basis? Okay. And what does success look like for you? You want your staff and families to be experiencing that every single day. So, someone says, So this is, I so badly need to be successful with my business because I love being a part of little people's lives every day. I know, I love that you guys love children and that's to keep those doors open. We want your businesses successful. And so I hope that these classes help in a little bit with it. As we close here, I just want you to think about some key connections, okay? Your vision shapes your culture drives who you attract and your culture determines who stays. If you want to improve recruitment and retention, you don't start with hiring strategies. You start with clarity about what you're building, okay? Clarity about what you're building. Who are you? Vision gives you that clarity. In our next session, we're going to bring this even a little bit further by defining our values and such. And we're going to talk about how to speak those values so people have an understanding of who you are and what you're about. And with that, I'm going to leave room and time for questions. I do want to just give a minute here